Oh, okay. Now I think now we're live.
Okay, now we're live.
Now we're live. No, the music wasn't in time.
Fire the soundboard guy.
It's
Welcome,
relatively
everybody. Welcome, Ludens, to the Ludens Query Podcast, episode 5.
Oh, is that
Today,
5, right? Oh, it says right there.
well, it says episode 5. That's on the soundboard guy as well. So after what just happened, we don't know for sure. But I'm just going off of what I'm seeing.
I trust him. I trust him.
But yeah, welcome everybody. Today we are talking about some recent news about a very hot game, God of War, and some controversial stuff around it. We're talking about cross-gen releases and some of the stuff that's going on with God of War. And we're going to dive into that. We're going to unpack it. I believe there's going to be a lot of things to unpack here in terms of the gaming industry and people that like games. So we are here again with the same crew, Moses, myself, joined as well with Timo.
What's up?
And Ricky. So it was confirmed very recently. Yeah, just dive right in. So it was confirmed pretty recently.
Let's go straight
in a blog post by PlayStation, the official PlayStation blog.
Yep, official.
Yep.
Official post.
Talking about, among other things, God of War, which is probably the
God of War and
key topic
and Gran
that
Turismo
people are
7.
talking about in there. Yeah.
Those two.
But
those two
because
games,
God
right?
of War,
GT7,
you know,
God of War.
that's yeah. Those two games are, you know, confirmed to be cross-gen because of Herman Hulst, who was in a podcast with a PlayStation podcast. I didn't even know there was a PlayStation podcast until this PlayStation blog post came out talking about what's next for PlayStation. I actually listened to it, and basically the article is like a snippet of what they were talking about in the podcast. Okay. But basically, Herman Hulst, the head of PlayStation Studios. What's that?
I'm just saying, like, can we find that on the official site, or like on the Sony site? Where do we find that podcast?
I actually don't even know. I got linked to the podcast in the actual article.
Oh, so, okay.
In the PlayStation blog
I'll just try to find it
for this particular article. It is linked in the article itself. But yeah, in the podcast, the head of PlayStation Studios, Herman Hulst, did confirm that God of War is going to be a cross-gen title amongst Horizon Forbidden West, which we already know, and Gran Turismo 7.
Yeah, we do.
And so far, I think those are the only ones that he confirmed that are going to be cross-gen. But this kind of goes, you know, against what PlayStation has been talking about, specifically Jim Ryan, about how they believe in generations, right? And the expectation that they set prior to the release of PS5. They set a lot of expectations for where the PlayStation 5, the hardware and everything that they put into building the PS5, the potential for all their games. And then, you know, here comes
the cross-gen.
1 year later, basically 1 year later, because that's where one year before, that's when we're hearing all about this buzz around PS5. It wasn't even out yet. Everyone is hungry for all the information.
Yeah.
And all they're saying is we believe in generations, while the other narrative from Xbox, you know, the lead competitor,
gotta support our previous gen.
Everything is going to be shared across their ecosystem.
Gotta support their user base. Yeah.
And with this news about God of War going cross-gen, or being confirmed to be cross-gen, the internet went wild. People are...
I didn't look at their reaction.
Obviously quick to respond. They are quick to respond to it. You know, everyone has hot takes, right? Their immediate reaction to hearing this type of news. You know, God of War for the PS4, one of the greatest games for that generation, for sure. And then everyone's expectations of the sequel because they know for sure it's going to be on the PS5, right? So, people are livid about it going cross-gen. And I wanted to get your thoughts on it. I know, Ricky, you have some thoughts on it for sure. So I want to hear what you got to say about the God of War Ragnarok.
I'm
going
starting
cross-gen.
again? Why do I always start it? You guys just want me going.
You got the most vibes. You're a firecracker.
I know you got thoughts on it. I know you got thoughts on it. So I'm putting you up to bat.
Oh man, again, okay. I have to get my thoughts together. So, well, okay. First of all, like between me and Moses, we have talked shit about Xbox or specifically Halo on the reason why it sucks. We kept saying, like, we kept talking shit about Halo Infinite after the trailer. We looked at that game and we're saying, look at that piece of trash. It's all because they want to cater to the previous gen users. So that game became restricted and and look how it turned out. It looks dumb, and now they have to delay it for like 2 years.
It's dumb,
and everyone's just hating on the game now. So we kind of agreed on that. It's like, yeah, okay, we shouldn't for big titles, big exclusive titles, like not just any title, like God of War. It's one of the premier Sony exclusive titles. Mm-hmm. So for Sony to kind of follow suit and make God of War a cross-gen game kind of goes against what we believe in and what we've heard. Because like me and Moses were saying, like, okay, like the Xbox is done for doing that, and they reap what they sow. People hating on the game, rightfully, they deserve it. and then we're just saying, okay, thank God, Sony, being the smart publishers they are not doing that. They will not do that. So, like, Horizon, they already confirmed it's gonna be cross-gen, so that's fine. We know, we have faith and confidence that God of War will be PS5 exclusive. And we're so sure, we're so proud of it. And then this news article comes out. I read it, and I immediately in Discord I wrote, like, little angry rant saying, like, yo, this is BS. Like, this is not right. And Moses here disagreed. He said it's all right. I'll let you explain yourself later. But
yeah, I have my own thoughts on it.
But to me, kind of similar to what we said about Halo Infinite, which I guess we never talked about that on this podcast. But yeah, when you develop a game for a next gen console and make it cross gen, they are kind of held back by the older tech. So we have this great SSD. So, and which allows them a lot more freedom in terms of level designs and stuff. But now they can't do it. Like, look at a game like Ratchet and Clank, which will be coming out soon, or at the time of the recording. So by the time this podcast is out, Ratchet and Clank should be out by then. When you look at the trailers for those games, they're doing things that can only be done in PS5. If that was the cross-gen game, all those like cool little gimmicks, just throw it out the window. Trash. Can't use it. So it's like stuff like that makes me wonder, like, what could have been? What could have happened in God of War? Like, I'm sure when I play it, it's still going to be a great game, no doubt. But at the back of my mind, I'm just going to be constantly thinking, like, man, what if this is PS5 exclusive? They could have designed this whole level completely differently. Like, or maybe this boss fight could be completely different. And it's stuff like that that kind of annoys me because you kind of mentioned how, like, God back then and PS2, God of 1 and God of 2 was on the same console. But at that time, God of War was still kind of making a name for himself. So it's fine that they are, trying to release more games to get their name out there. But now things are different. God of War, it's one of the like premier title, one of the best exclusive for Sony. It's like one of their biggest selling and most recognizable titles. So when you release that, you kind of want to give people the best version possible. But we will no longer get that. It's because of last gen. All these scrubs stuck in the last gen, holding us back. And of course GT7 SR, right? Like, okay, I guess Gran Turismo, it's not as big, I feel like, but it's still like,
I think that's a little bit more forgiving.
Yeah, but at the same time, GT, that franchise is always there to kind of showcase what's possible on the new console. That's kind of been always the case, right, for PlayStation. But now, once again, cross-gen.
Mm-hmm.
So we will never really see the full potential of what
Mm.
this game could have been. Like, the only thing
Yeah.
Right.
that we'll see right now, it's like more or less the same thing, maybe a bit more refined, and then on PS5, maybe better frame rate, maybe the better lighting, ray tracing, or whatever. But other than that, it's just gonna be a glorified version of a PS4 game. And of course, there's the price too.
Right.
I mentioned it because we had a conversation about pricing for PS5 exclusive games. So for these people are saying like $100 is too much for a PS5 game, and I know me and Moses, we were saying it's fine. We're willing to pay that price for a premium game because it's worth it.
Right.
It's so well crafted that we're willing to drop $100 for it. But if when the new God of War drops and they charge $100 for it, I don't think that's justified. I cannot pay. I'm not willing to pay full price for that game. It's a PS4 game. It's a PS4
I don't know,
game,
bro. It's not.
That new God of War.
Hot take.
It's a PS4 game.
There we go.
It's an updated, upscale PS4 game. It's not worth $100.
Oh god.
I'm gonna I'll have to wait for a sale and pay what it's actually worth. The last gen price, which is like $70 or $80.
Oh damn.
No, man. I think for me, like I think that Ragnarok was planned. Like they already had it in the works when the first God of War came out. Like I guess it's God of War 4 or the first one of this remake or whatever. So because we already had that teaser in the end of the game there. So I'm thinking that they already had that in the works. If you look at Gran Turismo, I guess it's 6. The cycle that it took for how long? I think it took like their cycle was 5 years or something like that before it even came out on PS4. So in my take on it is that the production cycle is a lot longer in both of those games than the PS5 was actually announced, right? Because when we're thinking about 2018, it wasn't announced. Obviously, they would had internal communications on whether PS5 was coming out in the near future, but it wasn't. We had no specs or anything like that. I don't know how much the developers would have had at that point.
Well, I'm sure at least Sony would have given them a heads up, or at least there's some sort of some version of the dev kit they can kind of plan and prepare for it.
Because I thought the dev kits didn't come out until 2019.
Well, if that's the case, well, at least I would hope they will know what they're getting into for next gen. I would hope so, at least. Like for a first party studio.
Yeah.
Like if it's a third party studio,
but I think if
Ubisoft, then who gives a shit, right? But it's God of War, so I would expect them to get better treatment than that. Go.
But at the same time, I think because of that studio, like the way that they made the God of War 4 there, and just that the cycle that it took they developed their own engine and everything like that. I wonder if they said, you know what, we'll just continue to work with this because we already know that. It's always a toss up with money too on how long a production is going to be on something, right? And then on top of that, I don't think that you're going to have a detractor with PS5 because I think, yes, in the way of level design, they're probably it's not going to max out what PS5 is capable of doing. But the aspects with the dual sense and stuff like that, I think that's going to be there. Gran Turismo, I'm pretty sure they're going to add that aspect into it, right? So I don't think you're going to have it at a way better frame rate. You're going to have it at a higher speed. You're going to have the dual sense abilities in there. Like I'm sure Horizon Forbidden West is going to have the dual sense capability on there. So I don't think that's going to be a whole different experience to pay $20 extra for it. I think
it's a little extra, but it's not like that. That's a difference. There's an add-on, like an extra little bonus feature versus something that's designed around it. There's a big difference between those two. Like if you look at Astro Playroom, that's like the core concept of that game is to design it around the controller. And that's something you cannot just downgrade, take away that, and put it on a PS4. It becomes a completely different game. and that's where the difference comes in. Like you can add that little feature on top of it, but that's completely different from designing something around it. Like
But I mean,
that is
how
your
does that
foundation.
experience? But how does that experience change? Like an Astrobot, like yeah, yes, you get the extra features in DualSense where you get this more immersive experience with it, but with the Dual Shock, you still have the ability to, let's say, move your controller or do certain things. So, like
It just
taking
becomes
away that
it just
controller
becomes yeah.
capability.
Like
Yeah,
Astro Playroom, it just becomes another like 3D platformer. There's nothing special about it. The reason that game
exactly.
it's so special is because of the feedback of the haptic feedback, right?
But we're pretty much sure we're gonna get that with those games, though.
Like, well, if you look at like
Like nothing's definitive, but
all the
I'm sure.
environments and like all the interactables in Astro Playroom is clearly designed about the haptic feedback. So if you
Yeah,
know, but if you take away the haptic feedback, none of those things matter. It becomes a really bland game, and that's a problem.
yeah. So that's what the
That
guys on PS4 are gonna experience.
I agree. I'm gonna be the guy on the fence. I agree with both of you. I see where you're coming from, Ricky. I understand that for a game, in terms of game design, when you're building your game around the features that the PS5 has, it changes dramatically the direction that the game will end up being and the final product.
Hmm.
Yeah, Astrobot's Playroom was definitely designed to be a showcase for all of the capabilities of the DualSense, but not only that, obviously everything else that the PS5 has to offer. And that's why it was such a great game. And they had that focus and that vision for what they wanted the end product to look like. In terms of God of War, I know for sure Corey Barlog, he has a great vision for God of War. It is very true and evident in the final product that God of War in 2018, when it released, that his vision for the game and sticking to what the end product is going to look like, with that whole no cut camera experience, more engaging, more close, more intimate to Kratos as a person, as a character.
Hmm.
uh, it shows in the final product. And then right now, all we can do is speculate. We have no idea what is gonna
Yeah,
be in Ragnarok, right?
Hmm.
We obviously know, we can only inference from what
from
Ragnarok
yeah,
is from Norse mythology.
Hmm.
yeah.
But their take on Norse mythology is like a whole different thing. They're mixing all the mythologies into one world that they all coexist,
Actually, yeah.
Right.
and it's
Just let me
pretty
say this. Yeah,
interesting. Okay, go
like
ahead.
yeah, like it might sound like I'm hating on the game, but I just want to get the point across that in this case, I want to be wrong. I want to be proven wrong. I want them to prove to me that
Yeah, no,
the game
I
is actually
understand
good.
where you're coming from. I agree with you. I want this game. I wasn't. We were talking about this. You pointed it out exactly a year ago. We were talking about, yeah,
Like
Sony is gonna release the PS5,
it's
and
five.
that's where
Yeah,
the true gaming experience is gonna be for next generation gaming is gonna only
yeah.
be available on PlayStation 5, right?
Especially
It
after
was
we
the
were trashing on
expectation.
yeah
Exactly. Yeah,
we
yeah,
were
yeah.
trashing on Halo Infinite nonstop, and we were
Hmm.
citing those exact reasons as to why it's trash. And then
Yeah.
now, next thing we know, is like Sony's following their footsteps, and that just makes me go, "Oh no,
No, I'm salty
no,
too, man. I said those things. I don't like saying, going back on what I say, right? I say these like, hot takes, these controversial things like PS5. That's going to be where next generation gaming is going to be, because they make it only for the PS5, and then they come
Hmm.
out with news like, no, your
it's
next
gonna
gen
be."
game's coming out for the PS4. And then I'm like, but I said all those things. So you're telling me I'm wrong? I don't like that feeling, but I know where you're coming from, man. And but I don't think it's gonna be as bad as um,
It says Halo
as
Halo
bad as people
Infinite.
think. Like Halo Infinite is a totally different thing. That is just, you're not talking. That's a different. That's
Nah,
that's C
yeah.
tier. That's C tier. God of War is A tier. S tier.
Yeah.
Halo's seats. We're not talking about Halo right now. We're talking about God of
No,
War,
well, the thing is, like, I
and
expect God of War to be S
it's
tier, but
for.
now we're getting A tier. That's not good enough. I want S tier. It's God of War.
But here's the thing:
Nah.
when God of War released in 2018, right? It was a mirror. Like it's incredible what they were capable of doing with the base PS4, right? And I
Yeah.
understand, yes, now the next game installment will be held back in certain ways in terms of game design and level design and things like that, and creative vision, whatever, by it being developed for
Yeah,
older
and
hardware.
that's actually
But
kind
what they
of
were capable of doing with a base PS4 was incredible, and that didn't stop them. They're not the type of studio to say like, oh, we're limited by the hardware, and we're not going to be able to bring the game that we wish we could have brought. No, they're gonna take inventory of what they have. It's like, okay, this is what we have to work with. We're gonna bring out an amazing game with what we have. And to Timo's point, like I agree that I think that Santa Monica Studios, they've already started development, right? Soon after they finished and made like God of War 2018 went gold. And they have the framework, they have the foundation already on the PS4 architecture, right? So it just makes sense to continue developing their game and building upon their amazing foundation with God of War 2018 to
Mm-hmm.
build the next installment, right? And work with what they're used to, work with what they're an expert with, right? In their whole development cycle, they had to develop the engine and the art direction and animation, everything, like all at the same time. And I'm sure that was a struggle for them. But at the time of the release, I'm sure at that point they can call themselves experts with the PS4.
Mm-hmm.
So I wouldn't expect them to drop all of their expertise. Okay, like let's forget about all of the things that we've learned and we're able to do now with the PS4, because I'm sure at the beginning of their development for God of War, they've learned a lot more about the PS4 and how to better utilize it, with that whole experience and that whole development cycle with God of War 2018. And they're
Mm-hmm.
going to bring that into the next installment, I'm sure. And with the
well, they could
PS5
do that.
features, right? They
Like,
have all sorts of software and technical things that I can't even begin to even understand, with different lighting methods and different lighting features that can only be able or only able to run on a PS5 type of hardware, and as well as like the PS5 DualSense features, right? They're gonna definitely implement that those features into the gameplay, right? So obviously, like in the back of our heads when we're thinking, okay, this game is isn't what it could have been, but like doesn't mean that's what it should be. I think
no. Well,
just
here's the
because they
thing.
can
No,
doesn't
no,
mean they
no,
should,
no,
right?
no, no,
Because
no, no.
they're not experts with the PS5. It's new hardware. They have to learn it still, and
Here's
I
the thing.
think this is an opportunity. Let me finish. This is an opportunity
No.
for for Santa Monica Studios to learn the hardware for the PS5, because we know for damn sure, you know, this is God of War. God of War, the first initial installment trilogy, it was one, two, three. They're not going to just stop at Ragnarok.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, obviously, the next installment, the third installment of this series with Norse mythology after Ragnarok, that's going to be PS5 exclusive for sure, guaranteed.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the game where I will expect everything I was expecting a year ago with Ragnarok.
Mm-hmm.
So I think I have faith that in Santa Monica Studios that they're going to deliver a fantastic product in Ragnarok, even though we can say it's held back by PS4 hardware, but we already know what they're capable of doing with PS4.
Yeah.
Okay. So my point is to kind of go off on what you said there. The reason I'm salty is because we know what they're capable of doing on a PS4. Like, they set the bar so high.
Yes.
Saw what they were capable of, and that's what makes you think like what they could have done on a PS5. if given the
Mhm.
time, and which I'm sure Sony will give them the time if they ask for it. But now instead they are held back by the PS4, and they will never really achieve what could have been, because we
Mhm.
know they are capable of that based on what they have accomplished on a base PS4, which is nothing short of remarkable. And now
Mhm.
what we're getting now, it's gonna be, I don't want to say a disappointment, but far from what they could potentially reach. It's kind of like,
Mhm.
watching the
But
Lakers get, it's okay. It's like watching the Lakers win a championship last year, and then this year they get bounced in the first round with the same foundation and stuff, with the same core, but they fell
Mhm.
short because they're held back by injuries or whatever. Right? Same reason,
but
similar reasons.
but here's my question for you though. What do you expect to be different? So it's
It's a fair question. It's a fair question.
here's my thought, right? So we know that they already did the no cut camera, which is beyond mind blowing compared to any other game, right? Like I was playing Days Gone today, and just not having that no cut camera it takes you out of it, because from a cutscene into a gameplay it just doesn't feel the same, right? So for them to have done that at the time, and it feels so immersive and it's so different, so they're bringing that to the PS5 game now, right? And we know for a fact they're going to do the dual sense. Like, there's no reason why they would, like, I would be upset in a certain way if they released that and there was no dual sense feature. Then I would say, okay, yeah, for sure, you just basically put a PS4 game on a PS5. That I can understand. But I'm pretty sure these three titles are not going to be that way. They're going to have the dual sense capability. So you're going to have a better no cut camera. You're going to have a better experience with the dual sense. So what would be groundbreaking for you to feel like it is PS5 though?
So here's what it is. My answer is I don't know, and that is my answer because no one
Yeah,
saw the no cut
that's a
camera
fair
coming.
answer.
No one
It's a
saw no
fair
one saw a
answer.
lot of no one saw what he had envisioned, and that's what's so amazing about
Yeah.
God of War. He had this vision that no one even dared to do. But
Mhm.
now he
Mhm.
will no longer have that chance to kind of wow us with things we have never even thought of, and that's why
Mhm.
me saying I don't know what they can implement. It's the biggest
Mhm.
answer to that question because, like, I want to be surprised. I'm sure
Yeah.
he has a bunch of ideas we have none of us even thought of,
Uh,
and that's what we were being robbed of
But in the same
by being
logic, we
cross
can say
gen.
the same thing about what he can provide with the PS4 still. Like, imagine you're playing it on the PS5, and then you're experiencing it, and you're thinking like there could be something in the game that they put in, and you're thinking to yourself, okay, how is this possible to be put on the PS4? Which could
But
be,
who cares about PS4? We have a PS5 right now. And like if that's the case, then
no, 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 no.
why did I even buy a PS5? I might as well throw that thing out into the
I
trash.
understand, but this goes back to what we're talking about how like first party studios, Santa Monica Studios, is able to take what they know about the PS4 and create a product for us, right? We just won't be able, we're not going to be able to experience it right now, right, or in the near future. It'll be for the next game, and that's what we can be hyped about. And I think that's what a lot of people don't like hearing. Like, just have some patience. Just have some
like,
patience, and then we'll
yeah.
have the experience that we've been waiting for in the third game, right?
Because here's another question too: are we willing to wait another 2 years for God of War Ragnarok?
Yes. If it means
if
it's gonna
it's
be
gonna be
like
PS5 exclusive,
if it means it's gonna be PS5 exclusive and
but
they
there's
get to do
so
what
many
they really want to.
factors. There's so many factors to ask that question. Like, you can't just say like, okay, we're gonna change our minds and we're not gonna make it cross gen anymore. We're gonna make it PS5 exclusive, but we gotta wait 2 years. They gotta start from scratch if the logic of I want to see what they're capable of doing with the PS5. You have to start from square one, go back to the drawing board, and you have to develop exclusively for the PS5, which can
Mm-hmm.
change everything about the game,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Well, that's
My
why they
point
shouldn't have
is
done
my
it in
main
the first
point is
place. They shouldn't.
But then that would
my
have
main
been
point
5 years
is
from now.
my main
they
point
they could like start
is
designing
that they
by
have the
concept art
expertise.
and the
They're
plot.
one of the experts of the PS4 hardware, and they're going to utilize that and take advantage of that knowledge to provide a product that more people can enjoy. That's something that a lot of people can, or they forget. Like, more people can enjoy more of God of War because it's one of the best games for PS4, and the people that played it and enjoyed it a lot, they want to experience more of it. They want to experience the next part of it. So they're going to be able to do it, especially with the news that PS5 is going to be out of stock for a long time, for like a year, because of all these chip shortages and things that were unprecedented and unexpected. So more people will get to enjoy God of War, and I believe that Santa Monica Studios will provide a fantastic experience for more people, which I think is important to remember, right? I know the question comes up like, why do I even have a PS5? Well, that's the best place to play these games. That's the best place to play these games, even though it's still available for the PS4. Like, you have you have the option to play 60 frames, 4K. You have your ray tracing. You have, a better graphical experience, right? Which leads you to more immersion overall.
Like God
Your
rays,
dual
all
sense,
that stuff. Like, yeah,
exactly.
it's going to be a different experience for sure.
Well,
Like,
it's gonna be better,
I'm
but
open. I'm
I
open to change my mind about things. That's why I was salty about hearing cross gen, but I'm like, okay, there's nothing I can do about that. All right, they announced it. That's how they made it. All I can do is just believe that they will come out with a great game at the end of it.
I
Right?
want
It's
to
about
believe too. I want to believe too, but at the
metering
same
your
time,
expectations.
but it's just like when I know that there is like a what if that could have like really happened, and but now because of the decision, we will no longer see it, right?
So,
Like
so
what could
here's the
have
thing.
been.
So I just was looking up some stats here. So God of War 4 sold 12 million copies. Okay. As of right now, PS5 has sold 7.5 million consoles. Okay, that's in the first year. It has
Good job. Good job.
it has actually outsold PS4 in the same time period. Right now, we have 115 million consoles of PS4 consoles. Right. So even if you get, let's say, 30 million sold on God of War Ragnarok out of PS4, and you have about, let's say, 4 million, 5 million PS5, that's a lot of bank. That's a lot of money to put into to the next game, the third installment, and hopefully speed up the development cycle. Right.
Like,
So
well,
That is true.
money
That
is
is
so
true.
yeah.
Leave it to Timo to
Well,
bring in the business perspective.
well, like I know, like when you go cross gen, you'll always generate more money. But for me,
yeah.
as a consumer, I don't give a shit about that. Like, I just want the best product possible. Like, do
But
you think
that's
I
the
give a
thing.
shit how much money?
It
Like, there.
ties
Well,
into that in the long run, right?
you want to talk about long run? Here's a long run.
Okay, there we go.
So if you make a PS5 exclusive God of War that looks damn amazing with
Mhm.
like
Yeah.
packed full of features we've never seen before,
Yeah.
if and when they have more stock of PS5, people that will be a console seller. Now that is long run. People will actually buy more consoles. If people are debating between Xbox, the piece of trash Xbox, and a PS5, and they see God of War exclusive with all these beautiful features, exclusive to PS5, they will buy that console. First is the cross gen. They're like, well, it's a cross gen game, whatever. I might as well. What difference does it make? I might as well get an Xbox and play Halo Infinite on it.
So I'm wondering if, though, because this wasn't announced when PS5 was announced, because they were saying these were PS5 exclusives.
But
I wonder if in the last year with COVID that has changed their mindset on it, because they probably haven't sold the amount of consoles that they would have if the consoles are already outpaced PS4 for the same time period, and that's with shortages, right? Like, so. Yeah. I just got my PS5, right? So that's with shortages. So you can imagine if they didn't have that same shortage and COVID did not happen, how much more consoles would have been sold in that time period. Mm-hmm. Then you're looking at maybe 15 million consoles sold. then you definitely would have just pushed it on PS5, right? So
I
I
don't
wonder if
believe they
that
would have
design
done that
should
anyway. I
change
think
that. You think they kept it
in
going?
terms of releasing it exclusively for PS5, right? They're not 115 million is not a small number. They're not going to ignore that, right?
Mm-hmm.
From the perspective of business in the long run. To Ricky's
Yeah,
point,
like that's why I think
it is speculation. Yeah, okay. I agree that God of War, if it was exclusively for PS5, would be a console seller. But that's not an issue that Sony has right now. They have, hotcakes right now, and they can't make more of them. People
Mm-hmm.
want it. The demand is super high. The supply is super low, and that's not a priority for Sony right now because they know their PS5s are going to sell. Like PS5 is outselling Xbox
Mm-hmm.
for sure, like almost twice as much, I think. I don't know. I pulled that number out of my ass. That's probably true though. But I know for sure PS5 is outselling
Timo gonna look
Xbox.
that up now? Can you look it up?
Soundboard guy. So I don't think, like, even at a developer level, that's not even the the
like,
thing that will
well,
motivate
I don't
them
know.
to make that kind of game. That's not a priority for them, I
Well, the
think.
thing, like,
Uh,
like since we're talking about God of War, like in a sense, like sure, like Sony, they know PS5 is gonna sell, but having a game to help that you can really show off and advertise, it really helps. Think back to PS3, the TV commercials for PS3. It's just smack there, God of War free, beautiful. That's what attracts attention. That's what gets people's attention. So if
yeah,
you
but
have
God of
something
War
similar
3
to
came
that,
out like a few years later after the initial PS3 launch, right?
it's like 2 years, right? I
Yeah,
thought like two.
we're not even 1 year into
Well,
PS5's life
when is
cycle.
God of War Ragnarok coming out? Like sometime like later this year, next year?
It got delayed.
It got delayed. Well, so it's gonna be year two, right? Year two. So
20
I think it's
2022.
reasonable to.
So within the
I think
second year.
yeah. So I think it's reasonable to expect a good looking or like a blockbuster type of PS5 game to advertise your console. And what better title than God of War?
It is definitely
I
hot
still
ticket,
feel
but
like
I still believe that even though that it's cross-gen, the best place to play it will be the PS5. And I know for sure people will have that mindset. I'm going to wait until I get a PS5 to play these games because I know that's where the best experience is going to be.
Mm-hmm.
yeah, like no
And
doubt, no doubt, it will be a good game. It will
we
be
don't
a really
even
good game.
know
I'm
some of the games that are going to come out within the next couple of years that Sony is probably sitting on. In that same podcast with Herman Holst, he was talking about how they have 25 exclusives for PlayStation, or I don't even think it was the podcast, but he definitely said there's 25
in the
exclusives that
article.
haven't even been
In the article, he said, yeah.
announced yet for the PS5. And like we only have a handful that we know of for sure. And in those handful, like a fraction of them are PS5 exclusive. But out of 25, we definitely know of a good minority of them, I'll say, will be crazy PS5 exclusives that will definitely be console sellers. And we have Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart that's coming out this Friday as of this recording, June 11, 2021. And I believe that could be a console seller for sure, especially like with it being exclusive and utilizing everything that the PS5 has, and it's Insomniac Studios, first party Sony studio. So
Mm-hmm.
they definitely have the know-how and an infrastructure of studios helping them develop for this game. And in that as well, they have multiple studios within the first party PlayStation Studios family. With that development, with them helping out, they're learning more about the PS5 as well. So it's still early. They're not even PS5 not even 1 year old, and the issue is not PS5 being able to sell units and push units. Like that's not even a question. I
No.
definitely think if they have the supply, it's gonna go way above what they did with PS4.
Yeah. Well, at the end of the day, I
I
still
just think they just
like I
gotta
have
come out with their games.
like I have nothing against cross-gen games. Well, it sounds like I do, but like I'm saying, like if they like any other games, sure, make a cross-gen game, make your money, go ahead. Like it's a business. People need to make a living. They gotta put food on their table. Fine. But when it comes to like big titles, your icons,
Mm-hmm.
which is God of War, or if they make another Last of Us, like the big name Sony title. When people mention PlayStation, these are
Yeah.
the titles that immediately pops in mind. Like these games should always be the best they can be
Mm-hmm.
because that is your reputation.
No, I agree.
That is
I
like your
agree.
so like that's why I'm a little like salty like about this whole situation. It comes down to like what could have been, what could have been.
But here's another thing too. Uncharted 3, if I'm recalling, Uncharted 3 came out a couple years or a year or so after PS4 came out. Am I correct on that?
I
No, I don't
don't
think
know.
so.
Uncharted 3 came out. No, Uncharted 3 came out for PS3.
Oh, it came out for PS3. Okay.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
I was just thinking of a game that came out between PS3 and PS4 to see how our feeling was during that time and see if there was an indication of
Well,
Mhm.
PS4. If
there
you're
was a
talking about
difference of how we felt about it.
like a early game, like within like a year or within a year and a half or 2 years of PS4, what exclusives is there? Well, Uncharted 4. When did that come out? And then there is Bloodborne.
2016
So
Uncharted 4, I think. Um,
okay.
But those all came out in the later cycle of PS4, right?
No, it's the early
Those
cycle.
weren't all
Infamous
launched.
Second
PS4 came
Son,
out
I know for sure came out within a year of PS4's
within a
release. They
year.
had
Yeah,
Killzone
that was one
Shadowfall
of
as
the earlier
well,
games. So,
and then Knack
yeah,
or whatever.
best game.
But yeah, like it was lacking. The PS4 launch titles and early games, it was lacking compared to what we
But
have
at the
now
same
with the
time,
PS5. PS5 has a lot more,
but at the time,
a lot more games
at
that
the
you can
time,
enjoy on PS5.
PS5.
Hmm.
Well, at the time,
In
I
terms
would
of
say
like
like a game like Infamous
good
Second Son.
exclusives.
Well, in terms of a really attractive looking exclusive, when you look at Infamous Second Son, at the time it came out, graphically that game looks mind blowing. It's something that
Hmm.
a PS3 can never even dream of achieving,
Yeah.
and that's
Right.
a title you can use to showcase your console, and that's what I was hoping God of War will be,
Mm.
like
Mm.
like a game that can showcase the potential of PS5. I doubt it will be like the best game for the whole generation of the whole cycle of this PS5, but
Yeah, yeah.
at the time, which is like this year or next year, it will be the best, basically, like S tier.
Here's with that argument, like you could say the same thing. Actually, you can say that God of War Ragnarok for the PS5 could potentially be one of those games that look great throughout the whole generation. Because if you look at Last of Us Remastered, that came out, that was a PS3 exclusive, or it came out first on the PS3, and then they remastered it, right? And it looks fantastic, even if you go back to it right now. I mean, that was a PS3
I
game,
disagree
and they
with that.
remastered it for the PS4. Really?
Actually, funny thing, yeah, because if you go back, because after playing Last of Us 2, me and one of my buddy, Ipo, we like he went back to play it, and I watched videos of the remaster of Last of Us 1,
Mm.
and boy, it did not age well compared to Last of Us 2. Like I guess like
Oh yeah,
we're
Last
looking
of Us
back at it with like
2. Come on now.
with not, like that's what
Rose
I'm saying.
tinted
That's what I'm
glasses.
saying, right? Like in our rose tinted glasses, like we think back, we have such fond memories of Last of Us
Yeah.
that we think it looks better than it really is. But if you go back and play it, you'll be like, oh Jesus, like this game looks rough. This game
Mhm.
looks rough.
No, I
Yeah.
refuse to
So
believe that.
go back and watch. Go back and play it.
I
It's still
think it still looks good.
that's what you
That's
think. That's what you want to believe.
maybe.
Like
But
I was in
it's
the
still
same
a good
boat.
looking game for what it
It's
is, and
still
compared to what other things are out there, it's still
yeah,
a good looking game.
but compared to like mid to late PS4 cycle games, it's a little on the rougher side. Like I had the same mindset as you. until I actually looked at footage of that game out, and I'm like, oh man, okay.
But did you
This game
play
does not
it?
look as
There's
good.
footage, and then did you play it?
Well, we're
Like it's
talking about
running on your
graphics.
PS4 or PS5.
I watched video of it. I didn't play it. I'm not talking about gameplay. Gameplay is. I'm talking
Okay,
about visually. Visually,
okay.
you're saying
I'll accept your
you're saying
argument. I'll
yeah.
accept your argument.
Because we're talking about
but
looks, right?
even for that could change even in the season. Like Tomb Raider, the whole reboot, right, happened all on PS4, and still Shadow of the Tomb Raider like looked graphically different, graphically better than the two other games, despite all three of them looking amazing. You know, in their own right? So games will continue to get better on these platforms, and
It
that's what
will.
I'm excited about PS5 because you know with the amount of graphical power and that is in the PS5, like we're gonna get amazing games. And I think it's kind of good that God of War Ragnarok is delayed. That means they're trying to incorporate some more things into there, hopefully. And the reason why I have faith in it is just because of the way the director is. Like he's really clear vision. Then as long as he's the leadership there, I will have faith on that game being amazing when it releases.
We'll see. We'll see. Because well, you guys know I'm actually not a fan of the whole no cut camera thing. But well, we've already talked about it, so let's let's not get into it again.
But it
Go
just
back and listen
proves
to our other
what
podcast.
a good vision can make out of a game or can provide for a
But
game.
at this, yeah. At the same time, I won't deny that this guy he has the ambition to try something new,
Mm-hmm.
and
And he'll push
that's
for it.
why
He'll push for it.
he'll push for it, and that's why like of all the titles, like God of War is the one title I was hoping it won't be cross gen, like above GT7, above any other games, because I know this guy
It's just a
he's got
matter
the
of
balls to try things.
perspective. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, I agree. I read up and watched a lot of things behind the scenes with God of War's development, and he led a great team, and right, it's a yeah, it is sad to think that okay, we won't get what could have been, but
Mhm.
it is what it is. You got to accept that, and it's just a matter
Well,
of perspective.
I have no choice
It's
now. I have no choice.
exactly,
What choices do I have?
exactly. That's my point.
The,
It's a
the
matter
best
of
thing I can,
perspective.
but that doesn't mean I can't be angry. I'm still angry about it.
I understand, but going into the game angry will not give you a better experience
No,
of the game
I
that
am angry.
is in front of you. There's no sense in being mad about something that doesn't exist.
I can like
It's just a matter of perspective, and it's a matter of patience, right?
Mhm.
We're only like halfway into PS5's life cycle. It just came
man.
out
I'm
last year in November,
man, I'm just
and
kind of sick and tired of
the
waiting for games to like give me what I want. Like, okay, let me go on a bit of a
it's
tangent.
patience. It's patience. Hold
I need.
on, I'm not done.
All right. Okay, I'll let you finish.
It's just a matter of perspective and setting your expectations. And I will say that Sony did have some blame. They have a lot of blame actually in giving us this expectation because of all the PR and all of the hype building up into the release of the next gen. PS5 was touted to be the place to play next gen games. We know this. They had the tech talk with Mark Cerny talking about all the capabilities that will be possible on the PS5, and that's the only bit of information that we had for months. And everyone's just talking and regurgitating and basically just echo chamber like, oh, PS5 is going to be the best, the exclusives are going to be the best, and the amount of things that developers can do will be unheard of, and basically everything that they think of they can just put out, and we don't have to deal with long corridors and hidden loading screens and things like that. And it's just building up this expectation for games, and then here we are now. PS5 is out, and now we're getting closer to the release of these games, and then they're giving us the news like, oh, it's going to be cross gen, right? It's contradictory and hypocritical of them to set our expectations that way, and to tell us, okay, these next gen games that you expected to have all of these features that we said they would have because we said they would be PS5 games, they're not gonna have that because it's being developed for the PS4 as well. And then again with your argument and your statement about Halo Infinite, right? That's the evidence of what holding back a game looks like. But you gotta have faith that Sony is way better than Halo Infinite.
But what's
We
the
know
argument with
that they
Halo
are way
Infinite?
better
Yeah.
than what's the studio in 343 Industries? I don't even know what the developer name is. But yeah, like come on. They are the first party studios. They are well versed in the PlayStation architecture. I believe that they are experts now in the PS4, and whatever cross-gen game they'll put out will be the best PS4 game that will be available for the PS4 at the end of its life cycle. And we can look forward to the future of PS5 if we have some patience, because we know what they're capable of with previous tech. And adding back to what they were talking about leading up to the PS5 release, it's going to be easier for developers to create these games. So even though we still have to wait, I don't think we'll have to wait that long for studios to develop PS5 games because it's going to be easier to develop for them. It requires metering our expectations. Um, right now, it's a mess because Sony is at fault for giving us false expectations. They over delivered and in a sense under
No,
or
over
they
promise, under deliver.
over promised, under delivered,
Yeah.
and we're in the spot we're in right now. It's frustrating. It's disappointing. Well, that's the reality of it. And I think Sony just has to be better at their PR. It's, you know, it's very, as a shameless Sony fanboy, it's disappointing to hear that I was wrong about saying all these things, right? With Ragnarok being going to be PS5 and things like that. But yeah, it's just about patience and perspective.
But what help me understand what do you feel like happened with Infinite though? Because Infinite, like to me, I think they just dropped the ball to begin with. Because in Infinite, like no, like
But
whether it was
here's
next
the
gen,
thing:
whether it's
is
next,
it available for the? No, it's going to be available for the Xbox One. I think. Yeah,
Yeah.
we don't have that much information, or I don't know. I don't think the developer even has that much skin in the game. First of all, and then like it's just a matter of vision, right? Like you have God of War and the vision for that, and then the expertise with the console. But it was just for PS4, so it's a little bit simpler of a development process. But Halo Infinite is going to be a part of the Game Pass ecosystem. You got to be able to play that on PC eventually. You got to play that on the lowest common denominator, which is the Xbox One base model, not even Xbox One X or whatever the Pro model is.
But that's the thing with God of War 2,
And
right? Because that's gonna be on base PS4.
no, but
it's a little bit more complicated,
no, but
right?
what is the correlation there? Because if what they showed us, right, should have been what it would have been
But it's
on the
about
Max.
vision. It's about vision, right? You're taking Halo. Their vision for it is going to be open world Halo, and with open
Okay.
world, right, it's a little bit difficult. First of all, to even make an open world game, you got to make sure an open world looks good on a on multi-platform. It's a daunting task, right?
Yeah, but forget about multi-platform though. When they're going to showcase their game, which is like Microsoft's like poster child of for their whole company. Okay,
Yeah,
Cortana is literally their
Their
Siri,
their their only poster.
right?
yeah, 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 yeah.
Right. So, and it would be the only game that I would really get an Xbox for. Like, if I was going to get an Xbox, it was to play Halo.
Yeah.
So, when they showcase their game, right? They shot themselves in the foot. Like, it should be the highest spec possible, right? Because it's playing on Windows and it's playing on the Xbox Series. So whatever they did with their showcase when they show that trailer, like I don't know how they end up thinking, okay, we're going to show this trailer and it's going to be, you know what I mean? Forget that it has to play on any other platform. You're going to say, what is it going to play on the next gen platform, right? Because we know that on the low end PC or the other Xbox, the lower end Xboxes, then who cares about those guys? Because you want to show what it's going to look like on the highest gen, right? Mm-hmm. So they obviously weren't there in the development cycle to show it, show that capability, So of course they got that flack. It's like the Sonic movie when they showed what Sonic was supposed to look like,
yeah,
and then everybody goes like, "What the heck is going on?" Right? And
what nightmares abomination is that, right?
Right? And I ended up watching, it's not no groundbreaking movie in the end, but it thankfully they changed it and it was a different experience.
It's actually a solid movie.
Yeah, so for some reason I don't know what they were thinking when they dropped that trailer, and they got the feedback that they deserve for that, unfortunately. So
it was trash.
Whether it's cross-platform or not, you're gonna try and show it it's like you watching a YouTube video it has 4K capability, but you're gonna show me at 720, right? Like that doesn't make sense.
Yeah, but the thing is, it's also available for PC, and I think that's where the issue is. It's just the ecosystem for Xbox is very messy, especially for a developer that I don't have that much faith in them as a developer. I don't even know what previous games they've made. So I don't know. Yeah, I agree. They just dropped the ball. But you can't expect that from Santa Monica Studios. You can't expect that level of incompetency.
But 343 is they've only made Halo, so since Halo 4, so Halo 2 actually. So that's their franchise. 2? So
really? Oh
yeah. No, I'm a little confused.
We are Sony fanboys talking about Halo, so we have no
the only thing we know about Halo
anything Xbox.
Yeah. I just know Halo and Xbox is trash. That's the only fact I know.
But yeah, it's just patience. That's it. That's what gamers and people need in general. They just need some patience. It's only been half a year.
I'm sick of waiting. I was about to go on a tangent, because I was gonna say, as a fighting game fan, I am sick and tired of waiting for fighting games coming out of Japan to give us a good netcode. For years, Street Fighter 4 came out, netcode is trash. Next fighting game comes out, the dev is like, trust us, netcode is good. When it first came out, or when they first gave out review copies, everyone's saying, it's good, it works. But when the game's actually out, it's fucking trash. Next fighting game, same thing. Street Fighter 5, it sucks. Tekken, netcode, it sucks. But the frustrating thing is, the solution is there. They just refuse to use it. For years, they just refuse to use the solution. Until Guilty Gear. Guilty Gear is the first dev who actually implemented the better netcode properly. So you're saying, you just have to deal with what's not there. But for years, as a fighting game fan, I've been dealing with it, and I'm pissed. With,
you're used to it. You know what to expect.
And that's why I'm sick and tired of it. When this happens, it pisses me off. It's the whole idea of what could have been. If Grand Blue Fantasy Versus used rollback netcode, I'll still be playing it right now, but I'm not, because it doesn't have a good netcode. It's not there, and I'm suffering for it, and they're suffering for it because no one is playing that game.
I don't think it's the same, because you have these things that are missing. Right?
Yeah,
right now we're in the dark. We don't know what's missing. We won't know what's missing. I don't think we'll ever know what is missing.
Yeah, like God of War, it's still gonna be a good game, but we all know it's gonna be missing something. It will be missing something. And that's
the thing. When you're developing a game, just because you can do something doesn't mean you should do that thing, even though you're capable of doing that thing. And in the end, you might even come out with a lesser product just for trying these new things. It reminds me of when the Matrix was trending, right? Every single game wanted to put in bullet time, right? And it was an option for a lot of games. But did it add to the game? Not really. If you do something, it's not implemented well. Like you could suffer for it. Like for Godfall, they could have done a lot of things with that game. They had the power of the PS5, right? And it was a semi-exclusive game. But they have the name PS5 attached to it. So this was going to be a PS5 game. And they tried their best to implement everything that they could with what a PS5 game should look like in their eyes, in their development process, right? And at the end of the day, I believe they shouldn't have went AAA graphics. They're a smaller studio. They should know what they're capable of doing. And I think they shot themselves in the foot. They chew off more than they bit off more than they can chew. And like their game suffered for it. They have excellent combat mechanics. They have excellent lore. But the thing that held them back overall was the graphics and the capabilities that they had in their hands. They had too much power.
Well, here's but the thing is, we're talking about like I don't want to call them low tier. Let's call them mid tier studio. So those are those guys' problem. But we're dealing with Santa Monica here. We're dealing with Cory Barlog.
Yes.
So there's no such thing as biting off too much. You can to chew.
Yes.
Like if he wasn't
different levels ballsy, to it. There's different levels to it, right?
Yeah, if he wasn't ballsy, like in his case, it should never be a matter of he should or he could, right? He should always do it. It's freaking Cory Barlog. Like imagine like okay, hold on. Imagine if Kojima was told by Sony that you have to hold back. Don't go full balls out. You have to take it to the general public. Would you want to see that? No, it's Kojima. You want to see what the best he has to offer. Otherwise, we would have never gotten a game like Death Stranding.
Kojima now. Okay, we're talking about Kojima now.
I have to bring him in.
Kojima would never, ever be limited by hardware. He will use the most limiting hardware and still make something great out of it, right? He will willingly choose.
But the thing is, but if he was given, better hardware, imagine what could have happened.
I'm sure he's gonna do that. I'm sure he's just gonna.
That's why I'm saying God of War will still be a good game, but just imagine what could have been. Same thing with Kojima. Imagine if let's say this is we're not talking about God of War right now. We're talking about Kojima's next game, and they come out and said it's gonna be a cross-gen game. You're gonna be pissed.
I know. I believe in Kojima that much that he will provide an excellent experience because
it will be good.
It was his decision.
It's still gonna be a masterpiece but it's just gonna be
it's gonna be great.
It's still gonna be a masterpiece, I believe. But if it's exclusive to PS5, it'll be an even better masterpiece.
I understand.
but even in that, okay, even in that, you have Death Stranding, which came out in 2019, okay, and we knew PS5 was we knew PS5 was looming. Yet they didn't wait for PS5 to come out, right? And is that game detracted because it was on PS4 though?
Oh no, that was in development for a long time, right?
For like 6 or 7 years. So that's not fair, right? Because in God of War's case, it started development on the dawn of the PS5, right? Whereas
it's more, it
started development at the beginning.
Statement to say that they had the PS5 dev kit available to make it the Ragnarok PS5 exclusive.
Yeah.
But all I'm saying is, in my prediction, I'm gonna put some money on that one. I think it's like I think you're gonna have such a great experience on God of War Ragnarok that if you had a PS4, you're gonna go like, man, I know I'm missing out. Like, I need to go out today and buy a PS5 because it's just not gonna, like, you're gonna see all the trailers, you're gonna see everything, and you go like, I need to go and get this before it releases because you're gonna know that you're not gonna have the same experience that you have on PS5. So as much as it's gonna be held back because they're doing some of the cross-gen, I think you're gonna have such a greater experience on PS5 that it's gonna be like, what's the point of even playing it on PS4?
Mm-hmm.
No
right?
doubt. So if
So
that's the case, like,
I think that,
why not just
yeah,
make it PS5? Just PS5 only.
I'm saying it's just the additional money for it. That's why.
I think it's
Yeah, well,
a
at the
Yeah.
end
smart
of the
move
day,
overall. It's a balance. It's a balance. You can't
from a
just,
business
of
standpoint,
course, the
from a
best
business
possible
standpoint,
game.
it's a smart move.
Yeah. That's the beauty of gaming, right? It's the balance of the business aspect of it, but also, the art of it and the process of it.
Well,
You,
I
of
would say, like, all
course.
things considered,
Okay, yeah, go ahead.
all things considered, yes, making a cross gen, it makes sense. Right? It's a logical decision, and I can't fault them for it. But as a consumer, I am angry about it. That's that's all. That's the best I
Yes,
can say.
I understand. I
Yeah.
understand, Ricky.
Yeah.
I understand.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, what was I was gonna say something. Let me just start saying words. Maybe it'll come to me. So, God of War Ragnarok. Uh, it being okay. Here's my thought. So, for the development of a game, right? I was talking about whether they should do something just because they can. They have a lot of power in their hands with the PS5. The architecture is unique and it allows developers to create games easily, but it gives us an Icarus potential story, right? They have a lot of power that they can utilize and they're free to use it. But what if, you know, you kind of get ahead of yourself in if we're talking about Cory Barlog, right? They want to come out with the best possible product and it's going to be PS5
Mm-hmm.
exclusive. They're not as well versed. They're not as much of an expert with PS5 architecture, PS5 software and hardware. Um, it's a definitely as a leader, he has to think about his studio. He has to think about his employees. He has to think about the teams behind the games. And if we make this a PS5 exclusive, we have potentially a crunch story on our hands because they want to put out the best possible graphical experience. They push out every single pixel as possible, every single frame that they can. But I am sure it takes a lot of work to be able to do that,
Mm-hmm.
to take away or take everything that PS5 has to offer and put it into the game. You have the potential of burning out your employees just because you have this great vision. Okay, instead of making a PS4, we gotta make it only PS5. We gotta learn the PS5. We gotta put it out by 2021 and make sure it's the best possible looking game we can make. There's it's a lot of risk,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Well,
And I know you're saying Cory Barlog, he's a risk taker. He makes ballsy moves, but at the end of the day, you got to be balanced in those things. And right, there's a lot of things we don't know that could have happened. Right? Yeah, we can think all day like what could have been if they made a PS5 exclusive, right? But on the other hand, yeah, what could have been if it was a PS5 exclusive on the more negative side of things? Like it could have impacted a lot of people
well,
negatively in a certain sense that not a lot of
it,
people will think about, right?
well. Honestly, if it turned out, if you went for it and it turned out, and I don't want to say crash and burn, but it had a negative effect, then I guess he is not as good as we think. Because
I don't
I
know. I
I
have a
Damn.
I just have to, like, okay, here's Kojima again. How many times has he taken risks? How many times has he pushed it, and he still made things work? That is a sign of a, like, all time great. So Cory Barlog,
Mm.
he's kind of
But
proven
it's
himself one
about
game,
balance, right?
but
We have the luxury of the experiences that we have with those games. We have not experienced Ragnarok yet. So all we
honestly,
can do is just speculate about what could have been, what should have been.
and I personally, I am willing to wait for a good product. Like, if they have to delay it till 2023, fine, give it to me.
Mm-hmm.
The last
Mm-hmm.
thing I want is to get a subpar product, and then you tell me, just be patient for the next game. Like, how many times do I have to do that, right? Like, okay, and then the next game comes out, it's mediocre again. It's like, don't worry, next one will be good.
I think
No,
in terms
no.
of that statement,
Like,
like
I'm willing to wait for an extra year, but give me
I'd
like
rather
like
have
the best possible one.
the projection of what the trilogy is going to be like right now, with it the first installment of the new trilogy is PS4 exclusive, made for the PS4, and then transition to the cross-gen era, right? With like this year, next year, maybe you have your next installment. I rather have that than jump from PS4 to PS5, and then the next game is PS5, right?
Why not
It's a
PS6?
build up. It's a build up. Uh, let's see. You're getting ahead of yourself.
Well, Metal Gear
So
One phone. Well, I guess there's
PS4.
Metal Gear 2 and 3 in the same console, but it the story spanned like 3 or 4 consoles.
Mm-hmm.
So why not? Why not make God of War free PS6?
They could, but obviously they're not going to do that because we just started the PS5 generation, and it's going to be like,
And that
I believe it's going to be more than 7 years. So if they don't even come out, if they come out with the PS5 version right now, and then 8 years later they come out with the PS6 version of God of War, that's too much. That's too long.
and that's why they should right at the beginning should have made it PS5 exclusive, spend a bit more time, release this in like 2023. Bam, perfect. We get the best possible version.
But my point
Of God
is,
of War.
like, we're gonna have a game that's gonna be developed right now, Ragnarok, or is developed for cross gen. It's gonna be a great title. I believe that. It's gonna be a great experience. I believe that. And then the jump from what Ragnarok is after I experience it to the PS5 exclusive, that's gonna be the better experience for me in the grand scheme of things, because it's a gradual progression of the level of game design, instead of like you just jump up and then plateau, or like you have a little bit diminished return, right, on development process and experience, right? You can only, if you make it a PS5 exclusive right now and then make it the third game exclusive as well, obviously they're gonna be able to utilize more of the PS5. They know more about it, but the level of which it's better is less than what it is potentially right now with it being cross gen. Like if it's gonna be a podcast, I can't even use my hands. I was gonna pantomime it. I was like, this is where it is. It's gonna be right here. But
So we're not
I hope
putting
you
this
get
on
my point.
YouTube. We're not putting this on YouTube.
I mean, we will, but like, I'm pretty sure the
When?
majority of people will listen to it.
I think I'm gonna just put a period stop to this with a tweet from Curry Barlog. Actually, he was just talking about how their development team has been getting harassed because of the delay. I thought he kind of worded this pretty well. He said, if you're going to be angry at anybody, be angry at me. He says, I made the calls. I did this. Don't bother the team. They're all very good people doing great work.
Oh, yeah.
Every
sure.
single human at the studio is there specifically because of of what they do exceptionally. We are better because of them. Hell, I'm lucky anyone is willing to lend their talent and intellect to my bullcrap. For this reason, for some reason they do, and I love them for it. So I think, to me, for that director, like him as a director saying that, is basically saying, hey, I have the confidence that the game is going to come out and it's going to be like exceptional. I think it's going to still blow us away, and it'll still feel like it's next gen. So
it'll still be good.
I think
I don't think it would be real next gen.
I think we're like Moses said earlier. It's like it's all speculation. They haven't released a trailer. They haven't released anything to say anything about the game yet. Yeah. So it's all speculation on what
I have no
what
doubt
this game is going to be like.
I have no doubt this will be the best PS4 game.
Yeah, well,
that's not a bad thing. It's not a bad thing. But here's the thing. Again, it's about perspective. What is next gen, right? Aren't we experiencing what next gen is with the enhancements on the PS4 games?
Well, like, that's the thing. None of us know what next gen is until they show us, and that's what I wanted to see.
Yeah, but you're basing it off the semantics of like what you can and cannot see.
That's the. Right? I mean, we have games right now that are next gen. We have Astrobot's Playroom, right? We have uh, all of the enhancements for PS4 games, like Ghost of Tsushima. That was definitely made
But those are PS4
to
games.
prepare for the PS5.
Those are
I
designed for the
understand,
PS4.
but that's the thing. They designed it for the PS4, but we get the next gen experience with the 4K and the 60 frames, right? That's the next gen thing. It's the perspective of it. And I believe that is part of the next gen. It's just the
Mhm.
No, like
normalization of 4K 60 frames. You got ray tracing
to,
now. It's a much more technical generation.
no,
I'd say
to
it's
me
not
that
much of a
I wouldn't.
visual what.
To me, those are, I don't consider that next gen. That's just PC gaming. That is PC gaming. Just better graphics, better frame rate, better stability. That's just what you get from PC gaming. What I want is
Mm.
I want to see how a game it's like when designed specifically around the PS5 architecture.
I mean, we
But
have
to
games
me,
like
Like
Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart coming out. Returnal, I believe that's a next gen game for sure.
so that's actually
Astrobot's
that's why as
Playroom.
of right now, yeah, yeah, like something like Astrobot Playroom. That is a PS5 game.
Hmm.
And honestly, as of right
Would you
now,
say
after
that's a
hearing the
next gen
news,
game?
yes,
I, I
because
I I disagree though. I disagree. The reason why I say so, it's I think the next gen, the really next gen for PS5 is actually the full high quality VR experience with DualSense. That is the actual next gen experience. Right now, we're still playing on a level where, like you're saying, it's PC on console. It is not necessarily like I guarantee you in the next 2 or 3 years, with VR continuing to increase and that experience going to increase, that's going to be next gen. Like what does next gen look to us, right? Because to me, what we've seen this with cell phones right now, over the years, smartphones, right? The last 3 years, we haven't seen anything really increase in the other than technical side of next gen, right? Before it used to be, hey, we got the thumbprint, we got that you can unlock with your phone, with your face. We've seen, full keyboards, full screens, 4K screens, 8K screen. All of those are just technical points. We haven't yet seen a device that has gone before ahead of that, right? Like when the iPhone 1 came out, that was something that was game changer, right? PS5, we still haven't seen that game changing stuff yet. Yes, we've had like the capability, the hardware is designed to be around the PlayStation experience, all that kind of stuff, but we still haven't quite seen next gen, right? Which would be the virtual experience, right?
and that's what's happening to God of War. It
But
just it's
would
just a
you want that?
technical. That's why I don't want it. I want like a full next gen God of War. You just proved my point. Like I don't want to see these like just small like technical increment. And that's what we're getting in God of War. Well, I don't want to say that's what we're getting. Like I want to be wrong. I want to be proven wrong. But
Yeah.
based on what we are hearing, that the fact that it's cross gen, it feels like that. It feels like we're just getting like a bigger screen, better resolution, and all the stuff.
But I think we're still a couple years away from seeing something truly next gen, where it's like nothing is capable of doing that right now.
Well,
You know what I'm saying?
I think we should revisit this topic after Ratchet and Clank because I think that will be the first showcase, real showcase of
Mm-hmm.
what a PS5 exclusive is capable of.
Mm-hmm.
Like as like I was gonna say like as of right now, I am actually more excited for that game than God of War because I feel like
That's fair.
that is a
That's
game
fair.
purely designed for purely designed for PS5. I'm excited to see what they do with it
Mm-hmm.
in terms of like the
But it
level
goes back to my
design
point
and how they
about
utilize the SSD.
perspective. Perspective, right? This generation, this next gen that we're in right now, is a weird one
Mm-hmm.
because now, like, what? There's no one definition of what the next gen is. We have so many facets of this generation that are available now. it's the normalization of the technical capabilities, right? Every next gen console has a SSD, which allows for future games that are multi-platform, right, to change how they develop for the game. And I think that's what it is. It's not just for like the end product. It's about the industry as a whole. It's for what is available and what is the potential for developers in the future, in the near future of gaming. Because now that SSD is normalized, I think that's part of the next gen. We're able to come up, or the developers are able to come up with those unique experiences now that they know that, okay, we have millions and millions of consumers and players using SSDs. Now we have that as a priority in our game development. But the next gen just started now. And, with early releases, developers will see potential. And, with these, now with COVID coming to its end, we're going to have the
I hope
conferences.
so. I hope
Yeah,
so.
it's going to end. It's going to end. Just get those vaccinations, people. And then developers and get those tech conferences, developer conferences, people are going to meet with each other again, and it's gonna blossom, right? We're still young into the next generation. I think that's what uh it really is. It's just a matter of perspective, right? It's about your expectations of what next gen looks like as well. you know I think there's a lot that goes on behind the scenes that not a lot of people will think about, right? And I was reading a little bit, I was skimming what the difference is between the for Horizon Forbidden West, what the difference is between the PS4 version and the PS5 version. And the main differences are a lot of technical features in the games, like lighting. Like, for an average consumer, that's not going to be that much that important to them, right? And you might not even tell the difference between that. But for a development standpoint, that could be a game changer in development overall. And obviously, pushing more pixels, pushing more frames out of the machines, that is also next gen. That's the normalization of it. That ties into the art of it as well. And like, it just makes me excited for what the future holds. And I will accept whatever is made right now. I will base it off of what I'm playing at the moment. I will base the games on their own merits, how it feels, not what it isn't, but what it is. That's just perspective and patience.
So that said, when God of War drops and it's $100, you get it day one.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Heck yeah.
Okay. All right.
Absolutely, I will. The best experience for it will be on the PS5, and I believe that with the capabilities of the PS5, you get like 4K 60 frames, or ray tracing 30 frames, whatever. You got the options. Yeah, if you play at 4K 60 frames, you're basically playing double the game. You're seeing double of the game because you have twice as much frames.
And you know me, guys. Like, I don't buy a lot of games, but 2 guaranteed games I'm getting is God of War Ragnarok and Horizon Forbidden West. That's guaranteed.
He doesn't buy anything.
Man, you guys are dedicated, man. No.
And it's that's what I will do for the developers I believe in. I will buy their games day one. I'm buying Ratchet and Clank day one. Yeah. I'll buy the Ragnarok PS5 edition day one. I'll probably buy a collector's edition, whatever.
Well, when you guys get God of War, don't spoil it for me. Assuming it's $100. If it's not $100, then okay, yeah, we can talk about it. But otherwise, don't spoil it.
It's like when you go to the movies and you have the different versions of the movie that you can watch, right? You have your base digital version, and that's it. And then you have your AVX with the the assigned seating and things like that. I'm pretty sure assigned seating is normal now. And with 3D, IMAX, you have those different versions. They cost a little bit more, right? But it's the same movie. It's a different experience.
No, okay. Here's the thing. Now that you mentioned movie, the whole 3D gimmick. A lot of movies, the 3D, it's an afterthought. They add it on top of it. You know, the movie wasn't designed with 3D in mind. They just kind of added on top of it, and that's why a lot of them feels kind of gimmicky, not too good. Whereas Avatar, the movie that actually popularized 3D, was filmed and designed around 3D, and that's why that movie looks so much better. And that is kind of similar logic of what I wanted from God of War.
Yeah,
God
but
of War designed around
3D. When did 3D come out, and when did Avatar release?
Well, like the concept of 3D exists, but until then, there's no movie that was filmed and designed around 3D.
You had
like
Tron, right? You had Tron back in the 80s. That was I'm pretty sure that was like made for 3D.
Was it? Okay. But
right?
well, okay,
they had Spy Kids 3D. they had a lot of animated movies in 3D. There's a lot of movies.
Those are different because those like the 3D was an afterthought. It was a gimmick.
No, there's a lot of 3D.
In this case,
like, you can
James
tell
Cameron,
by the actual movie with certain scenes, right? Yeah. It's made for 3D. But yeah, I understand your point. I understand your point.
Because those directors are low tier. We're talking about like high tier directors, right? with a vision. Yeah, James Cameron, that guy knows what he's doing. So when he
it's a dope movie. It's one of my favorite movies.
When he constructed a movie, with 3D being one of the pillars of that movie, it turns out great and beautiful.
I understand.
But the difference with that,
how long do we have to wait for that movie, right?
But the difference between that is that you know that it is 3D. You're saying you don't even know what is going to be for PS5, so you don't know what you're missing out.
Because, like, if it was an afterthought, right, it'll be a different movie. I understand.
No, I know that, but that's something like it's one thing to say. Okay, so it's one thing to say that the God of War Ragnarok isn't going to have DualSense because it's on PS4. That's different, right?
They will add it, but it's not the core structure. It's like a movie adding 3D afterwards. It doesn't feel genuine.
We don't know that though, because it basically DualSense you can literally turn it off on PS5 too and not have that experience. So you can put that on PS4 and not have that experience. You know what I'm saying? So the game could still be designed around PS5 DualSense and not have that. The only thing I could say
I don't think that's what Ricky's saying, right? DualSense is one thing, but actually utilizing PS5 architecture and hardware is a completely different beast because you have access to the SSD and it heavily influences game design, game direction, level design, everything.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, a PS5 exclusive game only available on PS5 will be an entirely different game that you cannot play on anything else. And that is I'm still I'm with
that's
Ricky.
That's
I'm just I guess I'm a little bit more patient than him. I will wait for that game when it's ready.
Yeah. Well, it's kind of, like I'm patient in a different way because in my case, I'm willing to wait a few extra years for that exclusives.
It's gonna come. It's coming, man.
I don't want to be the next game. I want it to be this game, but I'm willing to wait a few more years for this game. That's the difference. That's the difference.
So you're impatient but patient at the same time.
Yes.
But there's probably a game out there that we don't even know is out there right now. That is the game that you were waiting for.
I hope so. I'm expecting it.
He's Herman Hulst himself. He said there's 25 games they're sitting on. They're sitting on 25 IPs that are going to be available for the PS5. Some of them most likely will be available cross-gen, but I'm sure a bunch of them will be PS5 exclusives. And that is where we'll have that experience that we're talking about right now.
All right. Okay. Well, I think we've gone on long enough about this topic.
I told you, there's a lot to unpack here.
I felt like we're just been going in circles. We're just making the same point over and over again, and just me being angry. So this
and
is
it's just about God of War too. It's just God of War. We didn't even get into how it was delayed.
delay. That's fine. I'm okay with them delaying it. We're stuck in COVID. Take care of the devs. Like I agree with
Yeah.
Barlock. Like the devs are nice people. They work hard. Be nice to them. Don't harass them.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Give them time.
Haste makes
Yeah,
waste.
yeah. Give them time. Give them space. Keep them healthy.
Was
We need them
was
around
it
to make more games.
was it a Nintendo developer or something? Someone from Nintendo. They said like something along the lines of a rush game
It's bad forever.
is forever bad. Yeah.
Forever bad, but
A
a
delayed
late game
game
will
can
eventually
be
be good.
potentially good. Yeah, yeah, eventually
Will
good. Yeah,
eventually be
that's
good.
the
Yeah.
one. Totally butchered that one.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm all for delaying games.
Yeah, man.
Like
Yeah,
I
man.
said, I'm a patient person.
Mhm.
So like that's not the only game that's ever gonna come out ever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's other
Just be
games out
patient.
there.
Like, yeah, like you don't want to rush games, right? Like we got a good example last year.
Yeah.
Cyberpunk.
Cyberpunk.
Cyberpunk, man. Look what happened to that game. They
To be
clearly
honest,
rushed it.
though, I don't think waiting for that game would have made it any better.
At least it'll be playable. I think. At least
uh,
it
I
won't
don't
be
know.
as much of a mess. Like at
Like
least it'll be
it's
decent.
isn't it almost a year later? I don't think it's any like much better. Like they cleaned up the bugs and stuff, but I don't know.
I'll talk
That
about
that
a
actually
game.
ties into what we're talking about with God of War and it being cross gen too,
Yeah,
right?
I was just about to say, like,
Because that was the
talk about
main
a
reason
game.
why they had so many blunders in their development process
Yeah,
because they had to develop for the high end and then bring it down to the low end, which
to
is the
low end.
base
Yeah, like
PS4 and the Xbox One.
yeah. Well, I was just gonna say, talk about a game being held back by last gen. Like Cyberpunk, it like clearly a game held back by
But that
last
is,
gen.
right? That is their decision to make it
Mhm.
like that, to be
Yeah.
available
In this
for the
case,
lowest common
it's
denominator.
yeah. Well, plus a lot has to do with the director and the higher ups because I
Yeah.
felt like their vision, they're too ambitious. They lost track of what's clearly possible. So that
Mhm.
that is an example of like
But that
like
that's
like
an example
what can
of
you do and what should you do?
developing.
Right?
Yeah, that's an example of developing, for, let's say, what Timo was talking about earlier, with the COVID thing happening right now and the shortage, this unexpected series of events. What did that push Sony, or did that push Santa Monica Studios to make it cross gen, right? So in
Yeah,
in my perspective, they developed it for with the PS4 architecture to begin with, right? And then scale it up for the PS5.
Yeah.
And I think it's easier to do that, right? Because you know, not gonna be able to scale it back down to a certain level if you develop
yeah,
for hardware that is years and like
yeah.
it's a next generation level of
I'm I'm
hardware and then
I'm in
scale it
that
back.
camp too because like I think we can kind of saw a little hints of it because when they first announced it, they didn't say if it was exclusive, right? If it was, I think Ratchet and Clank they said straight up like this will be exclusive for
Yeah, yeah,
PS5.
yeah.
Whereas for God of War and a bunch of other games, they were on purpose like purposely being a little fake about it. So I think
Hmm.
that's a sign that it was planned right from the get go that it's gonna be cross gen.
Yeah, yeah. But it's just another example of like what could have been if they just made it for PS5 and then they decided, okay, we don't have enough PS5s as we thought we were gonna have. We got to scale it back to PS4. We could have had a Cyberpunk situation on our hands for
Hmm.
a hyped game like Ragnarok.
Mhm.
I think that's even
Yeah,
more hyped than a game like Cyberpunk.
Mhm.
And imagine the
I don't
you
know. I
know
don't know. I feel like
potential.
going into a cyberpunk was really hyped. Like was really hyped up
I don't know.
because
Me
like
personally, I wasn't
Witcher
hyped for
Three
it.
was yeah like for like personally, but the vibe I'm getting is that Cyberpunk was extremely anticipated, mainly
Yeah.
because of how
Mm,
successful Witcher Three was
Yeah.
and the setting for Cyberpunk and the
Mhm.
right.
overall genre. That genre of game, like the whole open world, free roam, and that type of thing, appeals a lot more to the general public than God of
Mm.
War does. I find because for us
Mhm.
more sophisticated people, gamers, we are drawn towards a well crafted game like God of War, but the general public are they the game, like an open world game like Cyberpunk appeals to them a bit more. I felt like I just offended a bunch of people.
That's okay.
That's okay.
We're
I
sophisticated gamers here.
I like open world games, but I haven't played one in a long time. So,
well,
like
open
I
world.
think taste in games changes. So,
Well, there's two type of open worlds. There are the ones where there's a specific storyline, kind of like Horizon or Ghost of Tsushima, with a set character, and then the ones with a create your own character. Those are just broad with no clear direction of the story, because they by design, right? You can't make anything too specific, otherwise it'll
Witcher had a clear story, and I think that's why people like it.
That's why people like it. Yeah.
But anyways,
So let's wrap up. I guess we've beat that horse.
Yeah, it's time to wrap it
up. Well enough.
It's more than dead already.
Yeah, we beat that dead horse. It was dead on arrival, and then went to town.
Reminds me of that Yu-Gi-Oh meme. I don't know if you guys remember seeing it. There's a clip of like Yu-Gi-Oh dueling with Weaver, like that insect guy. There's one episode like Yu-Gi-Oh just keep drawing his card and just keep attacking him, but he has 0 life point left. He just keeps drawing cards, beating the shit out of them, and then Taya just run up to Yu-Gi. Oh, Yu-Gi, stop! His life is already 0. And Yu-Gi is like, get off of me! He was just keep trying to beat the shit out of him.
We're passionate.
So that's
what
passionate
we did. People. We're passionate about Ragnarok. We're passionate about PS5. I think we brought up a lot of good points. But do you guys have any final thoughts on one last whack at the dead horse?
Well, I'm hoping for the best. Please prove me wrong. Prove that he can surprise me. I'm looking forward to it. That's all I can say.
And for me, I'm betting Ricky 3 subs on Twitch when the game releases, because I have a hunch.
That's your bet. That's your bet. What's the bet?
Yeah.
What's the bet?
The bet is that you be singing a different tune once the game releases.
Oh, really? Okay.
But you gotta wait until the first sale of the game.
And you're gonna buy it on day one. I know it. You can help yourself.
Okay, I think that's a better bet. Will Ricky buy Ragnarok on day one?
On day one?
Yeah.
Okay. Only if it's a full price $100. Because if it's like 70, if it's priced like a PS4 game, then I'll get it. Otherwise, I'm gonna wait.
I think it's gonna be different, bro. You're gonna buy it full price. I know it.
If it's 100,
you can't help it.
Ricky buy it at $100.
You
can't at the end of the day, you're probably gonna get the collector's edition or something, or a deluxe edition.
So what's a bet? Free subs on the line?
3 subs.
3 subs? All right, free subs. All right. Well, we'll do a internet shake on it.
Wait, so if Ricky buys at $100 or more for PS5 on Ragnarok,
yeah,
he will give you. So that's like $150 game then. So not only does he have to pay for the game, he has to pay for 3 subs.
All right, you're on.
All right, well, you shook on it, so.
I shook it. No turning back.
All right, and my final thoughts on it, I said it a lot. It's about patience. People in general need more patience. Like, they need to, when they see news, they need to sit on it for a little bit instead of react. Like, if you go on Twitter, it's about anything. Like, people will just blow up about stuff, and it's just toxic over there. Especially about what we're talking about right now. People are livid. But yeah, it's just about patience. You gotta have a little bit more patience, and then perspective. You gotta think about other things in the long, grand scheme of things, and on the gaming industry as a whole. And that's it. Patience and perspective.
All right, time to show
and
ourselves.
That is episode 5 of the Ludens Query. Thank you guys for watching. Shameless plug time.
Or listening.
If you haven't already, follow us on the Ludens Query podcast, wherever you're listening to it on. What is it on? I don't even know what's on. What it's on?
Spotify, Anchor FM. So
Anchor FM. Subscribe to our
All
YouTube
right.
channel where we upload a bunch of different videos that we talk about pertaining to all of these things, Ludens related. I am MojoCritical. I stream regularly. Follow me on Twitch at twitch.tv/MojoCritical. Yeah, that's me.
Me, Timotheus, aka the Hybrid Geek. You can follow me on Instagram for daily video game content, and I'm on Twitch Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays at 11 p.m. Eastern Time at the Hybrid Geek as well.
And then me, you can find me on Twitch at BaconBeercan. I stream like 45 days a week, something like that.
45 days a week.
4 to 5 days. 45 days.
It seems like you
like
stream
a
45 days a week.
Like a true Asian, eh? It's like
Right.
you gotta practice 40 hours a day. Yeah. But
Well, that's us. Thank you guys for listening.
Yes.
Thank you, Ludens. And yeah, play us out, soundboard guy.
Well, see you next time.
Have a good day.